Welcome, everybody, to All Mixed Up. This month, we are going to mix it up even more. Normally, I have Lauren joining me, but she's out adventuring right now. She's living a houndsman's dream. She's in the wilds of Colorado, having a great time with her dogs. So I mixed it up, and I brought Chris Powell in today. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to be on your show, Seth.
Yeah, it's I'm really excited to have you on, bud. It's going to be good. You know me. I like to mix it up.
You bet.
Name of the show. We got a really awesome show this month, and I'm excited for what you brought to the table as well. But I'm just going to give a brief teaser, everybody. We got a little bit of everything. We have two return guests. Patrons will know both of them. I've had them as bonus material for Tailgate Talks, but they've also Scott Allan has been on the show before, and he's returning. He's going to give us some awesome tips on
guy. I mean, he travels around the world photographing hounds. I hope you're going to talk to him about how to set up a good photo.
Absolutely. So for All Mixed Up, everybody, I wanted to break down true artistry behind the lens. And Scott really is an artist. Like check him out at SA Fieldsports on his Instagram handle. He has incredible pictures, like jaw-dropping quality. And so I reached out to him. I said, hey, break it down. Tell us how to get awesome footage behind the camera. Tell us how to memorialize our hunts with our dogs for all time and make it awesome. Plus, everybody knows on the Patreon account, we have bonus material every week that comes out in the form of Tailgate Talks, as well as cool videos, behind-the-scenes stuff, recipes. My talk with Scott Allan was awesome, and it was almost an hour and 45 minutes long. So patrons, stay tuned. Well, actually, by the time you're listening to this episode, it'll have been out for 2 days. Check it out on the Patreon account, you guys. It was a 50-minute talk about Scott's adventures in Spain, doing the craziest hunting I've heard.
He went on a big adventure.
Yeah, and it is awesome. I also talk about the British obsession with catching carp, because, dude, they're crazy about carp.
I know he is. Do they call him carp?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I call it, carp, and he just rolled right with it. And they have different kinds of carp, and then they have what they call a barbel, which is like a carp-like. Yeah. So it was crazy, and I really I just come at things with an open mind. And the case he presented for catching carp and barbel is actually an incredibly strong one. My name is Seth Hall, and I completely support that message. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And then, guys, you've heard us talk about this on the show a million times. I know Chris has had it out many times, come out of his mouth. But we don't care if you're out hunting dry ground lions, you're coursing the noble hare, you're putting bears in the air, or if you're catching rats in the city with your dogs. How many times have you said that, brother?
You bet.
We got a good friend, patrons. You'll remember Mark Donovan. We're going to have him on the show this month, and he's going to break down the essentials of urban rat hunting. And
I'll tell you, man, I think it's a deep primeval instinct to go out and hunt. And I just love finding these guys in these huge urban centers that can get down with the dogs in the city. It's cool.
I love it. And I fully agree with what we've talked about in the past, where I think hunting is in your DNA. And I love when people make do with what they got. They find something that it finds this spark and they go with it. So we're going to hear Mark's story, you guys. He is a vivacious dude. He is all over. He loves what he does, and he's pumped to talk about his dogs. So
what does vivacious mean?
Actually, I think that may be
like
context
is that like
of
loquacious?
He is also that.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, guys, he's a bottle rocket full of energy, and I am gonna hunt with him. He actually had to lay a dog up. You'll hear about all of it, guys. But I can't wait to have him on. So stay tuned for that, you guys. But me and Chris, we want to catch up real quick, fill you guys in on anything we need to, and then we'll move right into the news. So, Chris, tell us about any HXP happenings we need to know about, brother.
Holy smokes, man. There's so much going on. I mean, as I'm looking at this, we're setting records for downloads, and it's all thanks to our listeners. We're over 19,000 downloads on a Monday for the week. So, yeah, it's and I mean, that sounds braggadocious and loquacious for me to sit here and talk about all of this. See, I can drop the bombs. Seth.
He is learning.
Learning. Yeah. Wait until I start talking about pontification and all that stuff. Yeah. No, but we got a lot of cool stuff going on. Our fans are great, and a lot of people are just blowing up the Facebook group right now. Over on Houndsman XP Podcast Facebook. It's the Houndsman XP Podcast group on Facebook. Let me get this right. And people are engaging, and they're sharing, and they're talking about their hunts, and they're talking about all kinds of things, and it's just wonderful. That's the community that I was hoping to build. I'm very excited about the fact that and I'm going to give some shout outs here to some folks like Jason Snellgrove from Missouri with his Coonhound Collective. I listened to a podcast last week from him, and he's doing a great job. And Tree Talking Media with Ben Sheets, he's capturing some great material. And that's what we always wanted to do when we started this, was make Houndsman XP and talking about hounds, but making the conversation about hounds a mainstream topic where we talk about it like people talk about deer hunting, like they talk about fishing, and we're seeing all that come together right now. So it's awesome.
I love it, and I love how far we've come. And again, you fans are the best. I do agree. We have great fans. I mean, a lot of people reach out to us in positive ways, and I love how we've shined some light on unique hound hunting, and that is what I kind of always had a great passion for, as being kind of this quote unquote fringe kind of group, I guess. I love to talk to people.
You're fringe. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And so I really wanted to kind of delve into those more like kind of unique aspects of it. So thanks for catching us up, buddy. I'm really having a great time with it, and we're putting out a great show, and I love to be a part of it. So let's move right in. I know you got awesome news articles, and you're going to be Lauren's job for this month. So let's move right in.
Let me look this up. I actually so there was some dude in Pennsylvania, Brookville, Pennsylvania, that was arrested, and he's described as a man with an alcohol problem. He threw a dead groundhog through the door of his local bar because he was refused to be served.
That'll get him served, of course.
So I don't know if this was like a drive-by groundhog pitching or what we were doing here, but like he throws this dead groundhog through the door of his local bar, and because he was refused service after he was found to be heavily intoxicated. Well, this seems to be commonplace in this region, because Brookville's police chief said that incidents within the town, I'll just read it. Brookville's chief of police explained that the incident fits within the town's tradition of using dead animals as retaliatory weapons. A guy will get in an argument and put a dead squirrel on his girlfriend's doorknob, the chief said. That kind of thing.
So he's stepping it up to the next level using a 20-pound ground squirrel.
Yeah. I mean, so they don't serve you at the bar because you've had one too many, and boom, you pitch a dead groundhog
teach him
through the door. That's right.
Introduce a little plague in there too while you're at it.
The story doesn't say whether or not he was arrested for that. I don't know what he would be arrested for, really, other than, I don't know. Or if he was
vandalism, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he was picked up for a DUI. down the road, and it's like, oh, you're the guy that pitched the groundhog through the bar door.
But I guess if it's a town tradition, everyone's like, well, I mean, it was a good idea. You know what I mean?
Well,
he's
that's
just
what I'm
stepping it
wondering.
up.
How did the police ever get notified if this is like a regular thing that happens in Brookville, Pennsylvania?
Maybe they were more mad that he was drunk driving than pitching corpses.
I bet there was somebody from out of town that called him in. It's like, oh no, that's just Carl. He always, we do that stuff around here. We pitch dead animals in businesses.
Don't call the cops or it'll be a deer next week.
Yeah, we'll get the back straps out of it.
Yeah. Oh man, people are crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that never would in my million years would I think to go get a dead animal to throw through the window of someplace, but
not only that, but
I
it's
don't
a
live
tradition.
in Pennsylvania. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a tradition. It's like, oh, there's a dead squirrel hanging on the. Yeah, I pissed him off last night, and my boyfriend off last night, Dad. So that's why the dead squirrel's there. And it's just like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, have a good day, hon.
Pennsylvania listeners, tell us: is this an isolated event or is this a Pennsylvania thing?
Absolutely, man. This thing just blew my doors off when I saw it, and the chief's like, oh, yeah, it happens all the time.
My friend in North Texas, he said when he was a kid, they used to love to put opossums in people's mailboxes.
I was going to share that story. We do that right here, too. It's been several years since I've engaged in it.
You can't see the mischievous look, everybody, but I can.
Yeah. No doubt.
The only wildlife that I could put in a mailbox that would be any good would be a snake, but that's messed up. We don't have possums. I guess a coon, but I don't want to catch a coon.
You could put a ringtail.
What about a ringtail? They're not aggressive though. You'd open it up and it would just be like take off.
A possum. I mean, a possum's going to sit there and he's going to he's going to hiss at you. The only good thing about doing that is you have to be where you can see the reaction of the person when they're checking their mailbox. So there's a lot of logistics involved in that. You've got to catch the possum. You've got to get it in a situation where you can actually stuff it in the mailbox, and that usually is like the night before. And I'm talking totally out of just what I've heard, not experience. And then you've got to know what time the mail route runs for that person. And then you've got to be in a position where you can see the reaction. Because if you don't see the reaction, it's all lost.
Trail cameras.
Yeah. But back in the day, you had to be in the bushes.
Yes, binoculars.
Yeah.
A possum stakeout. And I'm just going to say this. For the record, Houndsman XP does not condone federal crimes of tampering with mailboxes. But yeah. Yeah.
So back in the day, you had to have this big camera. Video cameras were big back in the day. VHS tapes, and they looked like, news camera. And those were hard to conceal and pack and get into the weeds and be able to see this sort of stuff.
I think that's one of the greatest advancements of smartphones is that everybody has an HD camera in their pocket now. And the craziest stuff is captured on phones, and you see it all over the internet now. So
no doubt.
Awesome.
No doubt.
Hey, I'm going to ask you a quick question. You're a master of the raccoon. Do you think a wild coyote could predate on a full-grown raccoon?
You bet.
Okay. So I saw some trail camera footage of 2 adult coyotes killing a full-grown adult coon, and it wasn't easy. I mean, it took them like 30 minutes to wear him down, but they did do it. And
it's a risk reward type situation. Like everything else, is the value of the meal really worth it? But I mean, coyote populations will affect coon populations as well.
Interesting.
For sure.
Yep. It was really a surprising video. I was like, whoa, crazy.
Yeah.
Trail cameras.
Was it the one with the coyotes on a log?
Yes. Yeah. It was a small family of raccoons, I think, but they ended up getting the smaller one. But I think they
hit the kittens hard.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. They're super. I don't think any of our desert coyotes would attempt it. They're just too small. Like a big male weighs 30 pounds. A female weighs like 25 pounds. They're so small. It's incredible, actually, how skinny and tiny they are.
As you go north, raccoon body size increases, it multiplies. I think if you get up to Wisconsin and Minnesota, 25-pound raccoons are
Oh
not
no, I was saying
unheard of.
coyotes. Our
Yeah.
coyotes weigh that much.
Well, I'm talking about raccoons being that size, but down in the Midwest, down where I'm at, my lifetime, somebody asked me one time how many raccoons over 20 pounds. They were like, "Oh, I bet that's common for you." It's really not. I mean, 20-pound raccoons over the course of my hunting career, probably a dozen, maybe.
Wow.
Okay. It's just when you've got your hands on a 20-pound raccoon, you take it home and weigh it, and it's like, man, this sucker's big, and you take it home. But you see those baby bears from the Northwoods, and you're just like, I ain't got nothing.
Yeah. When Lauren told me how big coons can get, I was, wow. Because here they're way smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. Keep rolling in with the news. I know you got more, brother.
Yeah. I got one thing that people need to be paying attention to, and this is on the serious side. This whole refuge deal going on right now with ammunition, you need to be paying attention to that. They are the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service just released that they are moving forward with a ban of all lead ammunition on certain on designated federal properties. So right now it is being pitched as a refuge deal only on fish and wildlife refuges, and then but what we need to be on point for is the bleed over into national forest, into BLM land, anything like that.
Right.
You think about the devastation that would be doing to hunting and the ability to participate in hunting. It's astronomical if you really start thinking about it. Your flintlock that you enjoy hunting with.
Exactly.
Boom. You cannot use it to hunt with anymore on federally owned land.
Which is the only place I can hunt.
Exactly.
Here.
Yeah. So this is being pushed by there's a lot of backroom dealing going on here, and Hunter Nation just posted a link where you can contact your representative to make your opinion known and stand up against this, and make sure that they know that they should be voting against it. So you should check out Hunter Nation. Check out that the lead ban. They're coming after our ammunition, I think, is the title of the article. And make your voices heard in Washington that we're not going to stand for this.
Prepare your narrative too, and I'll give you some quick points that you could bring up. The amount of lead that hunters are scattering on public lands is infinitesimal. You're shooting maybe 2 or 3 bullets at an animal. 1, hopefully, ideally. But you're putting out an absolutely infinitesimal amount of lead when you're big game hunting with a modern weapon. So, guys, that's one thing. Another thing, too, obviously, we all know that lead has better ballistic coefficient. It hits better. It does a much more humane job of dispatching an animal than a solid copper bullet, unless they're extremely high-end copper bullets that are very, very expensive, which could be the point of this entire legislation.
They're trying to price ammo out of reach of the normal average American Joe hunter.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that they're trying to do is trying to put that ammo price out of reach for us. And then if you think about it, you think about the technology, research and development that companies are going to have to do to be able to build a bullet that can perform.
Yeah.
We're going to put ammunition companies out of business with this.
It's going to be crazy.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, thanks for bringing that up, and let's keep an eye on that, because what are we going to do if we can't hunt with a widely available and effective ammunition that really isn't polluting? It's one thing when you stop shotgun use of lead ammunition on a waterfowl zone, because that's obviously been proven multiple times. But when you're talking about the empty expanses of federal land that make up most of the American West, come on, that's crazy.
Yeah. And this started a long time ago with what you just talked about on waterfowl resting areas and different things like that with the use of lead. But this is a good example of how the anti-hunting animal extremists are so strategic. They started this last year. When you saw that post on Facebook of the bald eagle that was being affected by lead ingestion, they were doing a few things there. National symbol. Okay, let's talk about strategy. National symbol, bald eagle. Oh my gosh. And then we've got the lead ingestion, and then we've got how they're ingesting it. So that is how they plan, and that's the kind of stuff that's going on behind the scenes in the back rooms.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Exactly right. You can't get behind that. Let's save our national symbol. You know, they've painted us into a corner right now, because when we step out and say, we want to use lead. Oh, you want to kill bald eagles? We showed you how to kill them bald eagles. You know, painted us into a corner.
Well, again, it's all optics. So make sure that we have our optics, and
that's right,
in reverse. So, yeah, very good. Thank you.
Those are the two big things. One thing that I would tell everybody is make sure you go to Sportsman's Alliance and check out that education program they've got over there. You can go to conservationadventures.org. This is the greatest single program I've seen since we started hunter education on the hunter education program. And we're talking about curriculum for school age kids, and it's all written and based on the North American model for wildlife conservation. Check it out.
This is exactly what we need to be paying attention to as well. And it's, guys, we've all been guilty of that. You scrolling by, you see these things. It doesn't take long, and the more educated you get in these topics, the better you get at being a leader in the community, and the better chances we have of continuing our lifestyle. There's just no other way around it. I mean, I agree. And thank you. Go ahead.
I've got a copy of the curriculum, and I'm going through it right now, and trying to work with the Sportsman's Alliance. One of the holes and one of the faults with the hunter education material that's been out for years is it doesn't specifically talk about hounds, and hounds being part of the wildlife management plan and the value of hounds. And so I'm going through this conservation adventures deal with Sportsman's Alliance, and trying to find ways where we can plug ourselves into the process. So
perfect.
That's one of the things that I'm working on right now for houndsmen across the United States and across the world, really.
Preserve, protect, promote.
Yep.
We all have a little bit
Every
to play
day.
in there.
Every day.
That's awesome. Thank you, Chris. Well, we're going to roll right into our first segment, you guys. I have been having so much fun with this show. So, Chris, thanks for letting me produce it. I've been having a great time.
Doing a great job with it.
I just want to roll right into it, you guys. Welcome Scott Allan back to Houndsman XP. He's going to break down how we use our camera to maximize art in capturing our dogs forever.
So I want to take you to the next part of our chat, because we have already been at it for 45 minutes, brother. We can go, and we'll definitely do this again, because I have many more questions to ask you about hunting.
Because I've only touched on the actual hound hunting in Spain, and I've done a lot of sight hound hunting in Spain as well for hares.
Exactly, and where I was going to go.
So we do need to do another one, and I'm ready whenever you are. But yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I want to talk to you about the sight hound stuff there. Like the hare coursing is huge, and also the galgos are really big there, and also the Abesian hound, like rabbit hunting.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about that, but we'll get there.
Yeah. No worries.
Let me ask you. You are obviously a great photographer, and I wanted to focus for this episode about how to just do a good job for laymen to get better photos of their dogs hunting. And so I just wanted to start with the basics of, what's a good camera style? Like, there's so much jargon in the camera world, and it's really intimidating for people on the outside. Like, what is DSLR and all that stuff? And you don't have to get into the technical stuff, but just let's break it down for houndsmen. What is a great camera to start with that's, in a budget, but also works good for what they need?
So if you were starting out completely from scratch and you have no photography background at all, then I started out with a Canon 700D. which may have been now replaced with a 750D. But me saying this, I believe they're called Rebels in America. So
okay.
I don't know what the equivalent Rebel model would be. Sorry, but I don't.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's just a good start.
A good place to invest. If you were going to spend, say, $400, $500 on an entry-level DSLR, then it's in your best interest to invest the money in good lenses.
Gotcha.
So,
what's a good millimeter lens for the all-arounder work? I use a 75-300, and I've been pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I think a 75-300 or a 70-200 is a good. It's by no means a starter lens because it's not the cheaper end of the scale, but at the same time, it's definitely not the more expensive end of the scale. It's sort of a mid-table lens, but if you wanted to do it right, that's where I'd be going. I'd be going with a 70-200 and an f2.8. So what does that mean? Every lens is going to come with a f-stop rating. So whether it be f1.2, which is the really expensive and the really good end of the scale, or f6.3, which is going to be the far end and the cheaper end of the scale. So f1.8 is going to be a really shallow depth of field. So if you've got, for argument's sake, a pencil laid down in front of you, if you're shooting at f1.2 to f1.8, you might just get the tip of the lead in focus. But if you then open it up to, say, f4.5, you'll get a bit more of it in focus, say half of the pencil. And then if you were to go right down to, say, f11, you might get the whole pencil in focus. So the f-stop is the amount of area that's in focus. The smaller the area in focus, so 1.2, means you can operate on less light. So it lets more light into the camera, and subsequently you can take photos a lot later on into the night. And then when you go down to like f11, that lets in a really little amount of light, and subsequently you're going to struggle to get fast photos, and you might struggle to get things like action shots and late night shots with f11 unless you're on a tripod. If you shoot a tripod at f11 of a night, you could do a long exposure and that'd be fun.
Interesting. So that lower f-stop is ideal for fast moving things because it's going to let in that light quickly and let it get the picture fast. Because if you have a slow shutter speed, it's going to be very blurry when something's moving, right?
Yeah, but then you've got to then work out the balance yourself of where that f-stop needs to be. So you might shoot at f1.2, and then when you get it back, you might find the dog's eyes in focus, but its body's not. I mean, if the dog's a decent distance away, the full thing's going to be in focus. But if you're close up to it, you're going to be limiting the amount that's going to be in focus.
And that's the thing too, is when you get a camera, don't be intimidated to explore some of its settings, because I'll be honest, I just put it on the action setting and let it do its calculations for me as best as it can. But when you have time to take the camera to the next level, I feel the quality improves so much. Like, I just don't have that kind of time when I'm like hauling ass across the grassland in my vehicle. But if you're taking portraits, which is what I think is true art, I think that's where using those settings comes in handy a lot better. And I mean, I am a total amateur, so break down what makes a good portrait shot for a dog.
Okay, so first of all, as you said, if people are wanting to get into photography, then shooting action priority is not a bad way to go about it, especially if you're wanting to take fast shots of dogs running and things like that. If you then work out how the shutter speed works, because that's what you learn shooting action priority, you can then grow into shooting fully manual. But what makes a good portrait? I don't know. I don't think mine are that good, but I know other people do. But I'm very, very self-critical. I always think they need to be better. I always think if I'm photographing, a lot of my photographs are of moments. They're not just like snapshots that of a behaviour or something going on, or an interaction between a dog and a person, things like that. So if I'm trying to photograph that moment, why do I don't think I need the background in focus, because I'm wanting to draw your attention to that moment and that moment alone. So I don't want to be shooting at F6 or F5 or whatever and letting people see, the pine trees in the background, because Dave sat in Kentucky knows what a pine tree looks like. So it's never been. I've always just thought of it like that. Like why do they need to see that if the whole point of the image is that? So I like to shoot fairly low. I do a lot of my images at f2.8, and I go up to about 4.5 for the most part. I will shoot 1.2 when I'm using my 50mm, but most of the time I'm using my 70-200, which is limited to f2.8. And yeah, I'm looking. Someone said to me when I was about 13, whilst I was fishing, he said, before you take a photo, you need to know what you're taking a photo of. And he said, it won't make sense to you now. He said, but it'll make sense to you one day. And that's probably been the best bit of advice I've ever had. It's because, if you're just going to lift your camera up and take a photo without any thought, then you might as well save yourself £1,000 and just use your iPhone.
Yeah. I mean, that's so true, because I was going to say, I think that's what makes the photos much better, is when they speak. They tell a story in that one image.
Yeah.
And I really love that, that's what I was hoping you'd mention is for the portrait stuff, is that it's so nice when the object that you're trying to tell the story of is in focus and everything else is kind of blurrier. That really brings your attention straight to that moment, which is, I think, so next level. It also, when you're shooting with a camera of the quality that the camera I'm currently shooting with, it can sometimes give off an almost 3D appearance, because, as you said, everything's blurry in the background, and it's just the actual subject that's focused. So I like that aspect of it. I like it when the images really appear to be almost 3D. Yeah, I do too.
it's just, yeah. I love editing the photos when they're like that, and you know straight away as soon as you click that shutter button, you're like, that's the one. But yeah, it's a lot of what I'm not trying to. I never ever try to set up a shot. All my photos are candid, so they're all just as and when. And I don't say to people, I'm going to take your photo now or whatever like that. I want people, and I want their dogs to be behaving, 100% naturally.
Yeah, I like those. Are always the best ones.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
The only like posed shots, for lack of a better expression, that I'll ever take is like where I'm in America and we've hunted all day and the hounds are pegged out, and I'll go and photograph the hounds whilst they're pegged out. That's about the closest that I'll get to like a posed shot. Other than that, everything's just candid. Everything's just looking, understanding what a dog's doing, understanding a dog's behaviour. Getting a dog's attention just with just a little squeak. A dog will look at you, and it'll look straight down your lens because that's where the noise came from. And it's just things like that, little tips that you sort of pick up on the way.
I was going to ask you too, and I jumped ahead, but you think a DSLR is probably the best choice for a mid-range, entry-level kind of camera to get started in this? Yeah,
I think anyone who wants to take photography seriously needs to be using a DSLR, and they need to be editing images. Now, normally I'd say they need to be shooting in RAW as well, as opposed to JPEG, but editing raw images, you may have to, you're then talking an editing software, and whether there's any subscription fees for the added bonus of editing raw images. I do all my images on my iPhone, on my Adobe Lightroom app.
Yep, that's how I use Lightroom as well.
Yeah, yep. And it's I pay considerably more because I get a decent amount of memory and I can leave my images on there. But you can get Adobe Lightroom, I believe, for about £10 a month or $10 a month.
Yep, that's what I use.
Yeah, it's which is nothing. It's a great price, and you get the full features. Like you get the same amount of features I get. I think I pay about £40 a month, but I get about 5 terabyte worth of just cloud storage to keep my images on.
Yeah, see, I just put it all on a hard drive. But the cloud is so nice because you can use it anywhere. And I'm glad you brought up post-image processing, because a lot of people may not know that anytime you take a picture, you find one that looks great, but it can be so much better with just a little bit of tweaking. And I use Lightroom as well. So I just kind of wanted to, I'm glad you brought that up and made that clear, that a good photo can be great with just some help from post-processing.
Definitely. I think, you know, if someone's really, really wanting to get into photos and get the best out of the camera, then they need to be editing the photos, and ideally they want to be shooting raw.
What is RAW? Break that down.
So RAW collects so much more data than just what's in front of you, in terms of, you know, if you look at a picture on your phone, it's not just collecting them colours that are on that picture, it's collecting so much more data from, you know, the shadows and the highlights and things like that. Whereas JPEG, you really don't get as much, and you can't do as much in post-processing as you can if you photograph in RAW. So RAW for me is essential. I've tried to go back and shoot JPEG just to see what it's like, and I really don't feel like I can get the best out of the images, as, you know, knowing that if I'd have shot it in RAW I could have done so much more.
Yeah, JPEG file size would be like, you know, whatever, like 100 megs or something. But a RAW file is like 5 times bigger. There's so much data in there.
And
the only reason I can't shoot in RAW is because it does have a delay while it's saving it to your memory card, and I gotta just machine gun those things out in the action. You know?
Have you got your memory card to hand?
No, do I have it with me now? Is that what you said? No, I don't. It's at home.
Do you know what the megabytes per second rate is?
Oh, that's a good point. So I should probably buy one that has a faster processing ability.
Yeah, so I think the one I've got behind me is about 300 megabytes a second, and I'm guessing yours might be a little slower.
I am learning. This is good.
But yeah, if you look into that, it'll say on the front of the card what the rating is, and you'll just be able to, you know, buy one that's a bit better, and, you know, you might get 10 shots before it starts buffering. You might get 30 shots before it starts buffering. It just depends on your camera body.
Huh. Yeah, I'm going to look at that, and I'm really keen on knowing that, because, I would love to get my photos in RAW, you know, 'cause it's just so much better, but I've always had to use crappy JPEGs because I just have to be able to just have my action mode on, and the burst setting when you just hold it down, focus it, and then just hold it down, let it just fire out. And that's another thing, too. How many pictures do you think you take in between each gold mine? That's something I learned too. You go out and you take 7 pictures, and you're like, I took 7 good pictures. It's not as good as you think.
That's a tough question, because, you know, I'll probably get good images every time I'm out, but the ones that like really ignite the fire, they're the ones, you know, when I'm going out hunting in Spain, and I've never been hunting in Spain, and I'm really inspired to get that shot. Whereas most of the time I'm going out hunting rats or hunting rabbits or whatever, and I've been doing it since I was 13, and it's sort of got to the point where, you know, it's not that I'm not passionate about taking the images. I love taking the images, but it's like I've done this before, so that the drive isn't there. Whereas when I go to Spain, or when I go to America, or when I go to France, it's like it's all fresh to me. It's like I've got one opportunity to do it, so that's when, you know, the images, like I tend to take me better images when I'm really switched on and keen for it.
Yeah, you taking tons of volume and just kind of cherry picking your favorite ones.
Yeah, especially when I'm in Spain or wherever. Usually in the UK, I might take, you know, 600, 700 photos, which I don't think's that many. But when I'm in Spain, I might fill 2 memory cards just because I'm trigger happy, not wanting to miss an opportunity.
Yeah, that's how I've gotten to the point now where when I'm like taking pictures of a 3.5 minute course, you know, in between the 1st and the 4th kilometer of that run, I've probably dropped 600 pictures. Yeah. I'm just holding it down like a machine gun, you know? And maybe there's 30 or 40 in there that are really nice. Yeah. And one that's like, oh, you know, like the holy grail, what you're looking for.
Yes.
And so I feel like it's good a lesson for folks to, volume is key.
Yeah, that's a great hit rate, but to really improve on that hit rate, it'll be about timing with when you're taking the photos. So if you're taking 40 photos of a dog 20 foot behind a hare, it's likely that you might get, you know, one good one or whatever that you're happy with. But if you wait until that dog's a foot from a hare and he's about to put a turn in, and then you hold your shutter down, you're going to get so many more that are way eye-catching, because you're going to get the dog's eyes open, you're going to get the
beautiful
dog
point,
panting, you're going to get the dog, you know, the dust kicking up from the hare and the dog. So it's all about timing. and choosing when you're going to use that burst rate.
Beautiful. That's a good point. I took that for granted. Such a good, so true. When I first started, I just was spraying and praying, and you're right. Now I kind of hold for the turns and more of like the when they line the hair out and they're galloping at maximum capacity, that kind of stuff. That's a great tip. Thanks for that.
And before I said a 70 to 200 would be a good starter lens. Now, for the type of dog work that yourself and I do, that is a great starter lens. But if you're out with hounds and once you let them off the truck you don't see them for another hour, and then you get there and you're at a tree, then a 70 to 200 might be a bit too tight, and you might want a 50 or a 24 to 70. That might be more suited, something a bit wider, because you're going to be up close with the dogs as you dump in the box, and then you're not going to see the dogs again, and then you're going to be up close with the dogs as you're at the tree. And
perfect advice.
You might then be wanting to get the dogs and the cat in the photo, so a 24 to 70 might be a better option for that sort of houndsman.
And those the smaller millimeters have a wider field of view. Are they better, more adept at certain styles, or is it really just based on that lens's specs?
They're obviously better for things like landscape photography, because you can actually get the landscape in them, whereas with like a 70 to 200 you're going to be looking at a landscape, lift your camera up to your eye, and you're just going to see one tree that's in the middle of the camera. So for things like that, they're a lot better. For things like you've got dogs at the bottom of a tree and a cat or a raccoon or a bear at the top of a tree, you're going to get both of them in the shot. So for things like that, it's going to be better. But if you're wanting to zoom in and photograph a lion's face while it's in a tree, then 70 to 200 mil is the sort of thing you're wanting.
Gotta have that reach.
Yeah.
I think some of the best pictures I've ever taken were actually with a shorter lens, and with like you were saying, a much lower f-stop. But I just cannot get those when I'm trying to watch dogs, flooring it half mile away.
Yeah.
They're just little atoms out there.
And so with lenses, a lot of the time, the general rule of thumb is if it's a fixed focal length, it's probably a better lens. So if it's just a 50mm, if it's just a 135, if it's just a 35. However, the problem with that is dogs don't stay a fixed distance away from you.
Yeah.
So things like the 24 to 70, the 70 to 200, the 100 to 400, I'll be using them much more than my primes, unless it's unless it is a portrait where something stood still and I know it's going to stay still. Then I'll be using my prime lenses, which are the fixed focal lengths.
Nice. Yeah, this is all great advice. I'm learning a lot as you're talking. And making sense of the kind of stuff that the preset modes kind of do for you. I'm really trying to branch into taking more beautiful pictures instead of just the content being cool. And it really, people are like, oh, you're a great photographer, and I'm like, not really. All I do is just point and shoot with the camera doing most of the work.
Yeah. It's I suppose it's trial and error.
A lot of practice.
Yeah, you've got to just set a day up and just go out with the intention of taking photographs of the dog and just put it on manual and jump in at the deep end and go for it. I imagine where you are in the world, most of the time you're going to be in bright sunlight.
Yes, you are correct.
So 90% of the time your ISO is going to be around about 100. If you shoot fully manual, throughout most of the day over there, you'll probably be 100, 200, 400, the lower end of this.
What is ISO?
God only knows what it stands for.
What does it do?
It helps you. So let's say you've not got much light and you're wanting to take a photo at 1/500th of a second because you've got a dog running. If you bump that ISO up to say ISO 3200, that's going to help you compensate for that little bit of light, and it's going to draw in a lot more light. I don't know how, but it does. I don't know the people term.
Yeah.
So most of the time when you've got bright sunlight, you're not going to need to go more than ISO 100, 200, 400. And then the next thing you're looking at then is your f-stop. So if you're wanting to take photos where it's in focus and everything else is blurry, you want to be down the lower end. So f2.8 to f4 is a pretty good range for dogs. Anything lower you may lose aspects of the image out of focus. Anything higher you're going to start getting the things in the background in focus, which may be up some people's street, and that's fine. If they want the background in focus, then go for f5, f6, that sort of region. But yeah, so if you do go fully manual and you're somewhere hot, just whack your ISO into 1, 2 or 400, get your f-stop right, and then just adjust your shutter speed to compensate. If you are somewhere bright and sunny, your shutter speed's pretty much always going to be fairly high anyway.
Mm-hmm. Just make that snapshot. And one thing I was going to ask you, so I have a set budget. What should I spend my money on? A really nice body and an average lens, or maybe an average, maybe a whatever body, but a really nice lens, or try to get halfway in between? What do you think?
I think I'd try and get a decent lens, so probably a 70 to 200 f2.8, which I think over here we can get for about £1,000. And then I'd try and get a second-hand high quality DSLR with whatever was left over.
So
I started with my camera bodies grew before my lenses grew, and then I outgrew the lenses, and once I bought a decent lens, I was like, it was just like being catapulted forward in terms of my progression, because it was like I've been holding myself back with these not so good lenses for so long.
Yeah, lenses, I feel the same way. I gotta, and I'm feeling vindicated right now, because I got a used camera body, and it actually has been doing really good. I got a medium range, pretty good camera body at the time. Now it's woefully outdated, but I got it used, and then I just spent to get a medium to average good lens, and man, the image quality, like you were saying, it makes you feel a lot better,
yeah. And I think as well, if people are, anxious about buying second-hand equipment, you're not buying, a second-hand pedal bike or something like that. You're buying something that, for the person who you're buying it off, probably cost them a fair few £1,000s, and they're likely a photographer, and they've looked after it as a result. So it's not a case of you buying something that someone's abused and ran down. It's it's a more safer bet. There's also quite a few websites out there that deal solely in second-hand camera equipment, and they'll have on there ratings, so you can go on there and you can see, we've got this camera lens, it's 200, but it's very poor quality, and then we've got this camera lens, the same lens, and it's 900, and it's like new quality. So there is reputable second-hand companies out there that you can use.
That's great advice. Yeah, because a lot of people don't want to spend the money if they're like, oh, I got this iPhone in my pocket. It does it. No, it doesn't. Yeah. The cell phone cameras are amazing. Okay, I'm going to be the first one to say that what they can do is incredible, but nothing beats a DSLR in your hands.
No.
I mean, just from my own rudimentary experience, and then in the hands of someone like you, a phone can never get that kind of stuff.
No, I think I only use my phone for screenshots. if I need to take a photo, it's just the camera's coming out. But yeah, the camera on the phones, they're just incredible for how much they're improving year on year.
Taking pictures of your dinner and posting them to Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything is there any advice you would like to give, Scott? If something I didn't think of, there's probably a lot I didn't think of, but is there anything you had in your mind that you needed to let everyone know about photographing dogs better?
Yeah, well, I think if people are going to start photographing dogs, in the back of their mind, they always need to be conscious of what they're photographing, because if you're taking a photograph, you're likely to share the photograph, and not everyone comes from the same background, and not everyone's going to look at that image in the same light. So if you're going to put that image out in the public domain, just be conscious of what you're putting out there, and don't be taking photos and posting things that doesn't show the hunting world in the best of lights.
Perfect.
That'd be the biggest thing. And then for the most part, it's just trial and error. The more photos you take, the better you're going to get. Be intensely self-critical. Never take a photo and say, look at this photo, it's the best photo. Look at it and say, what did I do wrong, and what am I going to do next time, and why did I do it wrong? And that's probably the best thing I'd say to people. And also that bit of advice that someone gave to me, think about what you're photographing before you photograph it. Think about, I can't describe it, but it'll make sense to them one day.
When it tells a story.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming on, buddy. We will talk again because, man, I'm not even close to done picking your brain. And we're going to go back to Spain, but we've already been going for an hour and a half almost, brother. So let's do this again, and I can't thank you enough for coming on. Thanks again, buddy.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me, and you let me know when you're ready.
Yes, sir, I will.
Scott does such a great job. You can just see it in his photos, and he's a Skelter from Liverpool.
No, it's a what? No.
No, he is.
The word is
Go
different.
back and listen to
Scouser.
No. Go back and listen to John Broadhurst, the Terrier guy that I had on a few months ago. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Either way, you guys heard me say it 100 times in the interview, but he is an artist, and his photos are incredible. And patrons, I'm going to say it again. You guys are getting access to more. The hunting in Spain, he invited me, and I was like, ooh, that's something I got to see. And when I heard him talking about it, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. So go check it out, you guys. And I'm just going to give a shameless plug, patreon.com, search Houndsman XP. We're right there. Bonus material, bonus episodes, behind the scenes, cool videos of our dogs hunting, recipes, you name it. It's there. Stories, written articles. We're proud of what we put out there, and we want to make sure that for supporting Houndsman XP, you guys get cool stuff in return. So thank you. Not to mention our drawings and all the other cool stuff that we give away all the time. So
monthly drawings for merchandise and prizes, and yeah,
which happened yesterday. By the time you hear this. So well, I want to just keep going, Chris. The thing about All Mixed Up is that I always want to keep them shorter, but it never happens, just the way it is. These episodes can be a little longer. So we'll cut the banter and go straight into the next segment. Everyone, welcome Mark Donovan back to Houndsman XP as he breaks down urban rat hunting. Let's do it. There are a lot of cool things hunted with dogs in this world, and it has been said many times on Houndsman XP before, but this is one of the coolest ones. I got a very special guest in the house. Patrons, you guys remember him. I got the urban rat hunting fan, Mark Donovan, on the line. Mark, welcome back to Houndsman XP, brother.
Thanks, Jess, for having me. I appreciate being here.
Man, the whole team is just pumped to have you here, dude. We really are.
Well, I'm pumped to be here. I always love the show. Always makes me feel awesome listening to it when I'm out walking around with the dog, hunt through a little streets, it's great. Always love talking dog anytime.
Dude, yeah. We live for it, and obviously your story is super unique and cool, and it is a small niche community of which I also am a member, so I have a soft spot in my heart for that. But yours is even more unique and cool, what you're doing, how you're hunting. Why don't you give us a brief breakdown of where you live, what you hunt, and how you do it?
Sure. I live in Boston, Massachusetts, inside called Boston proper. I originally just started taking my sister's dog for a walk at a shepherd. Somehow we ran across more rabbits where we were originally, but over to my work, I really saw a lot of rodents. He started getting those too. So just after, he wasn't really made for hunting, exactly, but he could still catch them every once in a while. So then when I decided to get a dog to actually try it out, I went with a couple different groups around here that do it at barns. And there's a big group in New York called Rats that get together for, it's like a terrier group. And they go, go on little things. And once again, I'm kind of glad I did, because sometimes, especially living in such an urban environment, you get a lot of online or a lot of people that have real serious dogs that you don't understand about what it's like to really live with a hunting dog. They sound great or they sound this and that. Like I definitely I talked myself out of a Patadel just from hanging out with one that was down there a little bit. But I got Hannibal. He's a Decker Rat Terrier, and we do mostly downtown Boston, and I do my little area, which is like the thickly filled suburban Boston, and I just enjoy hunting rats.
You're hunting in the heart of a city, which is something that a lot of people don't even consider. And I think what I love about you and the other people that do this is that there he is. The legend himself. How's his tooth, dude?
It's good. He's good now. He's back at it. He's all over the place. He now, as soon as it's good, you got to keep him on trazodone, keep him down for a little bit because he just likes to do stuff.
He is a terrier.
And one thing too is kind of the vet said was like after we finish, that was the other thing too is for the implant. Like we talked about it, but because he was like, oh, you could put the implant in this and that, but he was just saying where sometimes where they use their mouth so aggressively. He's like, it's not really the best thing to have an implant because it's not natural the way it seats up perfectly. He's like, if they were doing little work and stuff like that, it'd be okay for it. But like, he was like, if he's really like, he goes, that's probably how he probably lost it because of that. Like how that's how he chipped it was, I think he was probably going at walls or whatever. But as soon as took it off him, came back, they checked it out. He seemed great, got a good bill of health, and he's good to go again. We took him out. Like I said, I've been doing around here lately just because a couple of my neighbors complaining about a lot of construction in the area and stuff. And it's a lot less action, but like once again, I feel bad complaining with how much you guys have to drive, But like,
I was going to say, what is your commute? Like 5 minutes?
Well, no, to get down to like the park area, the dumpsters, it's usually like 25 minutes at night kind of thing compared to literally just walking out the house. Yeah. But like, if I go out for like, say 90 minutes here, just take him around, he'll probably in this area only get 3 to 7 chases and 1 or 2 maybe, depending on the thing. Like I had him out all night this week. We only got 2, but downtown when you hit the dumpsters with this mass food, and I got the trash schedule because usually go twice a week. So it's like you want to hit it the night before when it's overfilling where,
Dude, I just got the biggest grin on my face. I love this, man. It's like I love how you're talking strategy. Everyone, hunting strategy, and you're like, you got a strategy to the dumpster times and everything. I have so many questions, and the patrons have heard some of them, but this is the first time that I have had you on the main show, and so I'm gonna just break it down. Let's go for it, bro, because me and you can go a long time, but we gotta. Yeah. I want to break
that too, so I don't wander off.
Oh yeah, well, I'm legendary for that too. That's why the show is called All Mixed Up. But all right, so
with the kind of hunters, we're not, we don't tree, we don't bay with a biter group. So
we just catch.
We just go in, but that's
I need to get you a Run to Catch T-shirt, but with your rat terrier on it. So. Briefly, your dog hurt his tooth hunting, and so now he's back online. Everyone, when I was talking about that earlier, his dog jumped up into his lap, and
yeah. When he went for his annual checkup, that points out that he actually had a cracked tooth, and it went all the way up. Like I said, we talked about implants, but he was. It's funny because I have a very not to definitely not get political or anything like that, but a very liberal kind of vet. Like the area that I'm in, it's one of the better hospitals, but a very like this and that's it up. And she's very understanding of quality of life, what the dog wants.
Yeah.
So, like, she's never been negative about hunting or this and that, but she's like, well, you probably want to keep him hunting, don't you? And I was like, I think it's the first time that she was probably looking at it from that dog's point, she's like, yeah. I think it would be the best thing for him so, he'd still be more free. And I think that's still the right way. He didn't have any other problem with doing it. Like I said, he's only got a couple back on there. I even took him on a downtown run, just trying to build him back up a little more stamina. But it's nice too. I also like when we go hunting, he's always on the harness. And when I pull the harness out, like he knows what's up. It's like that time. Like, if I put the leash on just on his collar, he's like, oh, this is not that we can't work together and get one when he's on the leash, but he just understands it's more of like the calm time. When he goes into the the harness, he almost likes to be that Tasmanian devil. Like he'll pull himself up on the back just back 2 paws and kind of use it to like reach in and smell and stuff like that. Yeah,
I want to ask you right off the bat. We're gonna roll into it. Break down how you hunt in the heart of the city with your dog. Just take us from the minute you walk out the door and you're at your hot spot hunting. Go for it.
Well, usually I'll try to see what it's looking like. Sometimes, but my hot spot is it's a group of dumpsters, like in the real downtown area where the cobblestones are. Like it's just like a walking area, but it's a bunch of restaurants and businesses all have these out to the back, and they're kind of old and not well conditioned. And it's just it's really bad situation there. So
perfect for you.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, too, I mean, there's some nights you have to be careful. Just like I'll walk by it a couple times, like first leaving the car, and just kind of scroll past, see the thing set up. Because if he comes in hot, sometimes you'll see them half scatter before he even gets close. So there's that little bit of just trying to almost blend in, like, hey, like, because they used to seeing people, they used to this and that, but they know when something's up, like, so kind of like just stock out, just to get an idea if there's trash outside the dumpsters that are piled up. That's always the honey hole. Like, you knock a couple moves to the side. And I usually kind of, if I bring it with me, I have a kind of like stick with a 2 Proker at the end. So if he gets one and kind of moves on, dispatch him kind of quick.
Yep.
But I always get 1 or 2 move away. But I get nervous. I don't want to be like trying to spare anything while he's actually doing his work by me. And I use it really to whack on the dumpsters. They'll jump out, literally like jump. Like they like when you, I don't know if it's like a vibration thing, but like pile in, like he'll be like on standby. Like when it's funny because like he'll almost get angry because like if you hit it a couple times, he's expecting one to shoot out. So like where is it?
Has he ever caught one midair?
No.
Oh.
He's not. He's unfortunately not too great in there. Like whenever they jumped over, he's like misjudged horribly. He's and to be honest, it's kind of a hard. They have a decent because it's like a short low fence that they can get under, probably 6 feet away. So when they land, he definitely gets them, but it is probably the best shot almost to get out of there. They must do that when they dump the dumpsters too. That must be their area that they actually go to. I used to bring some filler stuff and some signs out and blockers, but sometimes when you get hit with 1 or 2 rats, they really move stuff. Like it's shocking. Like even heavy stuff. Like, when they have to get through something, like they're fighting for their life, they'll move them.
They're really athletic animals too. People,
definitely. Like the ones that stay a survivor or whatever. So that it's like they're living in a tough world. Where and once again, as it's disappointing it's one of those species that we're losing to. Like they're not, not supposed to be here. They're not helping out any part of us in any way.
You're doing a real service on multiple levels. Yeah,
right.
I was going to ask you too, what quality is the race? Because I wonder if people are imagining that rats are slow. What's this race like? They're pretty fast, I'm assuming.
They are. Once again, it is a short burst because a lot of times there's a hole in the sidewalk. There's some fence. There's some little area that they can get under that he can't. So a lot of times we're talking within like 3 to 12 feet is like a fair, like kind of the real blast before they can duck into something. Yeah. There's always when he gets them basically in the ass and he's pulling them out, that's they're like that in the hole, which is it's like that. Even get worried that he's busting up his nose a little bit, slamming into those. Like that's the one thing why I have to have him on harness when he's going at it. He has just is as that true working dog stance, no self concern about himself at all.
Yeah. Like, Terriers take that to the next level too. They're so tough in game. Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing too. It's like just being honest. It's like those nights. He's 100% like, he's in the go mode, but he'll always get like bit or like nipped at or something like that. And then he turns into a whole like, it's
you
like,
want to go. Yeah.
Like, he'll then get like, that little, and I swear until he gets that little bite, he's not the same dog he is afterwards. Like, they say like some boxers have to get hit, like, this, that, but that's, I think I was laughing at you. I was having problems with my little Camry I got that, like, it's all my dog stuff. So, I had the Gunner dog box in my passenger seat of my Corvette, and that's what I was actually taking to town.
That's the flyest dog rig in the world, son.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Shamelessly, I'm inviting myself, dude. I got to do this with you. I want to so bad.
Yeah. Like, it's like I said, I feel it's, compared to some of the stuff you've been on, I feel like it's, like we said, we're just around town with the dog chasing rats. Like, it's like,
nah, dude,
I don't
it's
level of stuff that you guys do. It's like the crazy, whatever. But it's, it is the awkward world that we live in, like, especially up here. Like, fishing, there's no problem with fishing. Anyone can fish. Fishing's fine. And once again, catch and release fishing, which, like, it's kind of a weird thing in itself. Like, like that's looked upon fine. As soon as you get into hunting, it's like, whoa. And then as soon as anytime you involve dogs, like, hold on now, hold on. It's just that weird, awkward, I don't know, like, that's why I'm not the biggest poster of it on social media or a lot of the other things. I have a separate Facebook, Rozzy Ratter. is my Instagram and YouTube page. You know, I got some stuff up on a ton, but my personal stuff, honestly, just because like, you know, it just becomes like you try to explain to people, they still don't even get it. Like, you know, it's like I get him extra shots, he has extra vaccinations. You know, we look into a lot. You know, it's like.
But what a great species for you to be a champion of hunting with dogs, because you're hunting in a visible place and you're hunting an animal that it's like a feral pig, but I'm going to say way worse. I mean, nobody likes rats. You know what I mean?
Right. Benefit. There's no benefit whatsoever. Like
you're showing a dog doing what it's bred for, and you're doing a thing that is a service to the community, and I mean, it really is ideal.
like I said, that was the thing of why, like, I feel bad that I'm not going in town as much and doing it here. But literally, I had some, like, you know, this little lady lives up there, and like I said, we're a kind of tighter suburbial community, you know, and now they have to, I think you build a new home, you have to do, like basement parking, like you do subterranean parking. So they dig down. So when they do that, like, they get a lot of, you know, other rodents and stuff like that. So she was saying she had them all in her backyard and she was all upset. So I was like, well, I got to come by here. And it's like funny because, like, you don't want to, like, go back there. It's like she, you know, she's like 2 or 3 that I keep chasing that are always like there kind of thing. That, like, and once again, they, you know, they keep getting the holes. You try to plug the holes so like you get them, but like, it's like, I'm like, oh God, if she even saw what I was dealing with downtown, like, you know, like,
yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, I feel like you want to help out your neighbors more, just in this area, even if I'm getting less strikes. It's just trying to be positive about it, trying to make, you know, something catchy and stuff. But it, like, you know, it's he kind of tried to a couple of weeks ago when we were in like the square. There's like a little you know, a little farmers market they do downtown, like at the end of my street, and he catches a squirrel and he goes into a little fight with them, and it's just, it was a lot of like crying people.
Oh yeah. Isn't it funny how that is? A squirrel, people care, but a rat, it's like no big deal.
Once again, too, like, you know, a joke say like the tree rat or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, it's not a squirrel that's out in the forest eating acorns.
It's eating trash. Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's not like, I wouldn't eat these ones. Like, you know, it's a different all over, you know, beast. Like the same thing as like when you catch rabbits that are like, you know, field rabbits or actual ones out there. It's like, I would have no problem eating those. I wouldn't eat one from the city, you know. They're
so
it's a little different.
Breakdown. I'm going to ask you, do you think you have an overall positive view from random people you come across, or are you usually kind of secluded, alone? Like, what do you think?
Like I said, you find, it seems like I found people that like my name is not out there through different people that like I said, I started doing some community gardens and they connect me to other community gardens. And then like, so like I'll go to places at night that I can open up and just let them go free. And like, you know, so it almost seems like every place, whether it's mice or rats, they have something and they'll just run around and catch 1 or 2 or something like that. So it, you know, I kind of got a positive around there. Then like, it's funny, there's a couple other, you know, more wealthier areas downtown that like people like, hey, you know, like I'll pay you if you come by my place, you know, like
there it is.
So, but like the only problem with that is, which I have found is like, you know, they kind of want results too, and they're like,
like, you
know, so it's like pulling 1 or 2 rats a week doesn't really seem like it'd be enough. So it's like, you know, I need more dogs, but then like I get more folk, you know, I still have a full-time gig that I really, and but another kid that I know that does this in New York, he did a real smart thing where he does a lot of solo hunting with 2 dogs. And what did he do? I think he put up a charity for like a dog site that people could like donate to. And like then if you donate, you could put your address in New York and he would come by your area and try to hit up wherever.
Oh, that's cool. That's
smart.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah. He worked at a kennel, but yeah.
You have 1 hunter now. If you were to get another hunter, tell me what the ideal dog for what you're doing is and why you picked that type.
Well, okay. It's kind of weird because I did like a lot of times people get 1 small dog and 1 kind of like almost like what you would have, like one of your smaller like harehound, you know, kind of thing, like a whippet kind of thing. But I kind of thinking I'm just planning on keeping 1. A Decorat Terrier is kind of in the middle. He's a little bit taller of a. Sorry, he's ripping the place apart right now.
I can hear him going crazy back there.
Yeah, he's a little taller than a regular terrier, so they get a little more speed burst. But still, for what I do in the city, I'd still say small is where it's at.
Yeah.
You know. Small is probably where it's at over. The long ones can really get those, like the runners that shoot down the street and make the run for it. It seems like those are perfect for them when they could just start to stretch their legs and grab them, But it really does seem that the smaller terriers, once we talked about before, just getting them around too.
Yeah.
Like a couple fenced in, I guess I shouldn't talk about, but fenced in older cemeteries that I'm able to take them out, put them on the other side. They run, can sometimes grab one and come back, and I can just pick them up and put them over.
I think a small dog would be ideal. Yeah, I agree with you fully.
It's easy to get around. All the terriers naturally have that instinct. Sometimes you wish they were a little smarter. But the Jack Russells are great. True Jack Russells. The Deckers, I almost feel like the Plumber Terriers. The Jack Russell's a little taller. But,
so you're saying just a tough, speedy terrier really is ideal. I mean, you really seem to.
Yeah, you go for the smaller one. I mean, yeah, it's hard because it's just like, if you collect cars, you can make an excuse why all three are great. It's like, yeah. But just for what I'm doing, I think now, I almost look at him as kind of, because he is almost 40 pounds, is the taller, the bigger dog out. It's like, I'd almost love to get that 15 pounder or smaller little dog that could really get into those dumpster holes that it's almost a little bit more of a burrow or he'll dig, but can't really get down that low. I don't want to be going deep in, but there's definitely some places around the parks and holes that are just enough that if he was down a little more, you could definitely block off other sides of it. There are a couple that he's a little too big for. So in my situation, small, I'd probably, small terrier would still be the way to go, I think.
Now I'm a sighthound guy, so I can't help myself. What if you took a Jack Russell and crossed it to an Italian Greyhound, or is that too much speed?
Oh, no. There's all, trust me, those are all fantasy island dogs that I would absolutely adore. If I had it's it's just so many, possibilities. And the idea of something like that, a terrier or some kind of small dog like that, crossed with one of those real fast dogs is absolutely whip it, one of your, sight hounds kind of thing, or, there's a lot of good ideas out there. And what's the other one that's, it's just, there's so many possibilities. But
I think you're right, though, where you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I think a small, speedy, and super tough terrier really is pretty ideal. I think, yeah.
The city it is, different areas get into different possibilities. When you see the field videos, there's sometimes more of a break chase if they have more open land to get. Yeah. And sometimes, even in those things, sometimes you'll have German Shepherds that work really well. One of those, the other guy is probably the best dog he had on that other series on YouTube. He does the Mink Man guy. The Belgian that was absolutely phenomenal. But just because they want to please, so if you give them a job, it's once again, it's I can do this. It's and you see with that, that's where the intelligence of the animal comes in. That gets what you need it to do. Whether it's to almost herd them sometimes or whatever. But but for my situation. But truthfully, it is too. There's no answer to anything better than just more dogs.
Yes, sir.
I catch the easiest way for me to catch more rats would be more dogs. Just the close factor. There's no other way around it.
Everybody listening to this is oh yeah, of course. I just need a couple more dogs.
I get more dogs, then I actually get more dogs. More dogs.
So you get to a spot that you've been scouting out. You're using Google Earth to look for those great dumpster sites, and then you get there.
And also, too, originally, Boston, if you have a complaint and see a rat, they have an app. You can take a picture of it, and it marks it. So they actually have a grid of what the problem areas are that they want to fix. So it's funny. A lot of the areas you find out that's more people just seeing them than they're actually there.
Yeah.
But they did lead to a couple spots that were very much.
Holy crap! What I hear him, he's ready to go hunting back there.
Yeah, after this. We're probably just once it gets dark, probably for us around 10 o'clock. That's when he goes out. So today too, it's been so hot up here, 95 degrees, during the day, which you probably laugh at. But for us up here, that's pretty hot. So we've been keeping it low. We've been keeping it low key. So it's just being able to, taking small walks and stuff like that. So by the end of the day, he's ready to definitely kill something.
Yeah. So you're out here. What is I was going to go back to that. So I'm envisioning this hunt in my head. I'm like, oh no, it's all good. I'm like with you right now. So you get to a spot and the dog is on fire. Rats are scurrying everywhere. What is a really great night's hunt? What kind of numbers are you expecting to catch, not to see? And then what's an average night, would you say?
Right. I'm thrilled when it's over a dozen. Honestly. Like it's a great, it's to catch. It's like, that's like, yeah. And mind you, usually when it's a dozen, it'll be like, I got like 5 over here, and then I moved to the other spot and got, 6 over there, but still just one night out. But over a dozen is wonderful. I'd say on the average night downtown, 3 to 6 is very, very common. But like I said, my best night where like I've used the poker and like just the place has been absurd. I've gotten well over like, since getting more into it, those other dumps is like well over 20, 25 there, and then another 10, 15 down at the other, walking the other, before like, it's just like such a hot night, so much moving. The dog was like, literally had to stop to like, we took him once and I keep a cooler with me. And I'll put some ice packs in there, and he kind of leaves on the pool. And then, like, once again, I'll see how he feels, if he wants to go out some. But usually he's almost always ready to go again. Then we get down there, but, like, he was just, like, I could tell out of it. Like once I run to the car, he's, like, kind of barking. But once we got just, 2 blocks away, he was like, yeah. So, I try to keep his temperature, and also keep him cool all the time. But like probably with me poking this, like we definitely had to have nights that we've got probably close to 40. Once again, that's like the godsend best nights. Like everything works out great. But 3 to 6 with probably 20 chases is very average. It's like I said, there's only if I had more dogs, it really changed the situation just because of a lot of times you're doing either a flash, like a complete crash of a place when there's a lot of scatter that they're making, it's one go. But there's also a couple of alleys that are good where they live in these like rat trap boxes that like have poison, but they really just use them as little houses.
What? So, like, wait. The poison houses is where the rats are hiding.
Yeah, so they put poison in the center of it. In the tunnel, you go on one side and it like goes around the poison and comes back out another side. So, like, they pass the poison. It's supposed to, be like, oh, look, free food. But most of the rats know it's not. So, like, they'll just literally sit in these little tunnels and chill there. Yeah.
That's so crazy. I mean, but talk about an effective way that you're also removing rats in a way that doesn't cause secondary poisoning, too.
Right. But just, it makes you a little nervous. The poison's out there.
True.
I carry hydroperoxide with me if he ever does ingest something to make him throw up. Not that,
Smart.
like... I we try to be aware, but he's never got close to it or anything like that. Like I said, it's very rare in these situations, but like still trying to be aware of it. But they'll just sit in there, so I'll get up with the stick and kind of like poke it or shake it, like kind of up on one side. It will run out and he'll be ready right there. And it'll be so funny because he'll either get it or he'll go to the next little rat trap thing there. So that's like, okay, hey, we know it's there. Let's get set now. Let's it's like not
ready.
Like yeah. But like even when you think, like I said, I don't take anything to guarantee because like I'm like he'll be inches away from that opening and he'll be ready. Like when there's one coming, still get by him every once in a while. Like or he'll get a bite on it and like go to rebite and he'll drop it away or just
things happen.
The real world happens.
Yeah.
So it's like it's.
So he's on a leash. Breakdown, because obviously you got to keep him restrained. You're in a city. Like you can't have him run out on a road and get hit. So what kind of leash setup are you using? Just a long line or a retractable one?
He's on a harness, and then I'll have a 15-foot lead in hand, and it goes to a 30-foot retractable that I have on a beaner on my belt.
Perfect. Yep. That makes sense.
So, and that's usually he doesn't take more than the 15 plus 5 and 10. It stays in that area, it feels like. Because a lot of times, too, I'll run with him, like, to kind of get him in. Like, it's like, kind of want to stay on top of as much as you can. But it's, he, like I said, they're not that long, the races. Like, no way, I can't. The videos you send me, like, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, I think he has a lot of energy. It's like, he has a lot of that, like, terrier energy. But when you watch that speed, you just watch, like, the distance. It's like, holy, it's like that whole next level, like,
Well, I mean, it's next level in a different way. My dogs aren't running 20 a day. That would kill them. You know what I mean? That's the thing I was going to say. Your race is what I think sounds so appealing to what you're doing is that you're right there by your house. You're coming out, you're hunting, you're having high action. That's the beauty of hound hunting. I always felt is that, you don't have to be sneaky. You don't have to be wearing tons of camo. You don't have to sit in a tree stand and be bored for hours. We can hang out together, drinking a Dr. Pepper and letting dogs run. You know what I mean?
Right.
And yeah, sure. It takes me whatever between, 20 minutes to 4 hours to find a jackrabbit. And then it's this one epic chase. And then sometimes you're done for the day or not. Sometimes you got to let them rest like an hour and try again. But what's so appealing about what you're doing is it's like he runs, he catches like 4 or 5. We rest him for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. We go to the next spot and do it all over again. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's, I got moved in my job to like more of like a supervisor position. And like I started getting fat and I was like, I just need to get some exercise. And like, I was like, well, the other dogs really don't want to go on much walks anymore. They're like, go to the end of the street and back. Like, yeah, we're good. Like, it's like, so it's great exercise. You're doing like something for your community. Like, and that's why I always say, if any of the houndsmen out there, please, great way if you want to start your kids on something. There's lots of small dogs you can get for free that are already ready to go for it. Those are the ones that you usually get rid of.
That's a great point. Yeah.
The houndsmen that are listening are probably the select people in this world that actually have the skill set to accomplish it, that know what has to, you know what I'm saying? Like, to actually how to use the dog as a proper tool. It's like so that's just why, there's lots of people could try doing it, but just some people wouldn't get it. But like, it's the people that are listening would actually get it.
Well, yeah. And it's a great way most big game hunters started on small game. And that's a good point. If you want to introduce someone to it and you have the opportunity, that is a good nugget of wisdom, Mark. I like
and, a lot of guys I know that all have hounds, this and that, they almost have like homestead setups. A lot of people grow their own food, vegetables, and, they hunt other stuff and this and that. And a lot of times you end up with, just pests of your own. It's like they're great for your own if you have a farm or something small. It's like there's no reason why you can't, help yourself out too. It's not saying anyone has rats out there, but just like,
Hey, we all have
everywhere.
rats. Everybody has rats.
Everywhere. It's like, and
that's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought the future of urban rat hunting was going, and you kind of answered it on your own there. But also, I feel like that's a great way to market dog hunting to the public in a way that's just like super palatable and like acceptable socially. And look how much fun the dogs are having. Any dog can do this. Like
now, the other thing too is like it's just the rat situation is getting so bad in this country that nobody really is honestly caring anymore about what is really it's like unfortunately it's they're ready to be like, well, if you're gonna bring long range snipers out, let's just start taking it's like gotta do what we gotta do. It's and once again, it's so one of those most absurd things that like I'm naive to it. It's like, and people that have dealt with them for a while, it's like you go over and when you see them, you assume like I can get that no problem, I can catch it myself. But then like once again, it's like, what was I thinking? Like, it's like, there's a lot of things trying to catch it that's whole life. That's what you used to try to,
I love that you say that. I do, because I feel like jackrabbits have the exact same misconceptions. Like a lot of people underestimate rodents in general, and they are super hard to catch. If you're running 20 and you're catching like 6 and people are like, how is that even possible? I'm like, dude, they are ninjas. That's why, for a rat, a hare, it's like, man, they're these extreme athletes, and rats are incredible athletes in their own. So I don't want to I'm a small mammal biologist. This is what I do, so I have a huge respect for small mammals, rats, rabbits, all that stuff. So I for multiple levels, I love your story. And I just feel like, you had said in your tailgate talk that you were a big game hunter, but you kind of gravitated towards hounds because you love the action and stuff. Do you just feel like you're wired to hunt? You know what I mean? Like I just feel like I am, and I always wondered people that.
I mean, like I enjoyed fishing, but to a point, I always kind of felt it was boring unless we were actually working and kind of stuff. So for a cousin of mine, or a cousin-in-law of mine, originally we started talking. He hunted more, so I started with him, and I enjoyed it. But like just like you said, I think I have ADHD. Like I couldn't sit still. Gets to you, but you just have that like I want to whatever, and then when I found out that people kind of do this in some spots, I thought it was really cool. And like just right away when I started with Blue, when we were just catching rabbits and chasing them, I was like, this is like fun. Like, you know, but like, once again, it's like, I don't want to just kill things for no purpose. So I'm like, but there's tons of things here that shouldn't be here that could be killed for no purpose. Like, you know, for a reason that would help us. Like, you know, so that just makes it that much more like, you know, a reason to
rewarding.
Do it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And also so accessible, you know?
Yeah.
You don't, I hate the commute. And I live in one of the best places in the country to hunt jackrabbits with sight hounds. And even still, I have a between 1 and 4 hour commute. I am super jealous of you coming out your door and hunting, you know?
Well, that's the other thing too, is I feel like, because a lot of people travel and like, you know, it's like I could be doing all different types of hound hunting, driving 4 hours north. So it's like, it's not like, see, some people don't have the option at all. And I'm like, I'm kind of spoiled because if I really wanted to put time in and do, whether it be bear, a coyote, or any, you know, Maine and New Hampshire, a lot of those states right above me are okay without, you know, people from other states coming in and hunting and this and that. So I have it available to me. But like you said, just the easy access when you work a lot. The second shift, it worked out perfectly. When I get home, I, you know, usually, you know, clean up, chill out for a minute, and then just head them out with them. And it's, you know, a nice way to unwind and just relax. Like, you know,
have a good time.
Yeah.
Man, that's a handsome little guy. He keeps popping in and out of this video.
Yeah.
He looks great. And so I just can't get enough of this. I really, me and you could keep going for hours. 40 minutes just flew by.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And, Mark, I really want to have you come on again. I have more questions for you, buddy, but I just love that you're making do and you're kind of blazing a new hound hunting path forward. And I just think that's so cool. You really are like a pioneer. Although ratting with terriers has been done for centuries, even in urban settings, it's like being reborn. And I just find that super alluring. That's super cool.
I don't want to say if I think the rats in New York, that group that does in New York, maybe I'm mistaken, I thought it was the late 90s they actually started. So it's but it was like 2 people, so it was very small. But but once again, even now, if you say like 20 years, that's nothing compared to like how, you know, it's that is very new in the scheme of things.
But in this urban setting, you are a pioneer for hound hunting, and don't, you know, I don't care if people are treeing, you know, 600-pound bears or catching like 300-pound boar hogs. The stuff that you're doing is just as valid and awesome. In my opinion, even more awesome. So, Mark, I can't thank you enough for joining us at Houndsman XP, man. I use you all the time as an example of how diverse hunting with dogs can really be, man. Really.
No, thank you, Seth. You're a great guy. Great show, like always, and it always inspires me when I'm out there. Like, love it.
Well, man, we'll have you on again, and hopefully it's in person, brother. Because next summer I'm going to Boston, bro.
You're welcome anytime, brother.
Thanks for joining me, and you follow your hounds, and I'll follow mine. Thanks, brother.
The rat hunter, the urban rat hunter. You can't suppress the hunting spirit, man.
I love it, man. When he's talking about using OnX to scout like garbage dumps and stuff, I'm like, that's so awesome. Like, I love that. And
can you believe that?
The cops,
I guarantee the executives of OnX never thought of guys like Mark Donovan
setting up
Boston.
Trash blinds and stuff. Like,
oh my gosh,
I love that. I really do. And I'm going up there. I already shamelessly interjected, and I was like, dude, can I come do this with you? And he has a dog out right now. It's just recovering, but next year he's going to get back into it hard. Life has him busy. So, you know, we're going to get back into it, and I'm going to be there on the streets. And the beautiful thing about rat hunting is it's done in the summertime, when is my off season. Perfect.
I need to face my fears and go out and have a showdown with some Norwegian wharf rats.
At least the dogs do all the work. You don't have to even touch them. They do it all.
Those are just the nastiest little beasts you ever saw in your life. They're horrible.
What? They are disgusting, the urban variety, but I'm gonna stand strong for my wild creatures, my rural relatives of the urban rat. The desert rats are incredible creatures, so I stand with them. And you are wrong.
I could come closer to coming out with you, and like, because you're not crawling through other people's poop.
Absolutely.
You know,
I agree.
It's like those little Norwegian wharf rats are responsible for millions of deaths in the history of humankind.
They're so gross. I mean, I totally
They
agree
are
with you on that.
nasty.
They'll
chew your face off.
Yeah, I've read my fair share of books about World War One, and yeah, the stories of the rats in those trenches is just insane.
I lived that. I lived that during Desert Storm. We had, after the war, we had some established positions and stuff, and of course we're assigned to go there to be an observation post or whatever. Dude, I would wake up in the middle of the night and there'd be a freaking rat sitting on my chest looking at me, with just with an MRE cracker between his front paws, and I'm just like, I'm done with it. I could just like, no, never again.
The upside about the rats that I'm handling is they don't look anything like those nasty rats. They look more like a gerbil, and they are super cute. And
these were too, but I mean, I jumped out you jump out of the fighting hole and throw a white phosphorus grenade in there and cook the whole thing. I live right next to White Sands Missile Range, and all the time you'll hear them like shooting missiles and blowing stuff up. And I just think like, how many just little unfortunate desert critters were just going on throughout their day, just boom, just get blown up by a missile. And I saw, you could see sometimes you can see unexploded ordnances, and you just be like, that was some lucky jackrabbits right there. Yeah, you bet. You bet.
Well, Chris, if you got anything else to add, brother, this is the time.
I'm just happy to be a part of All Mixed Up. I give you a hard time, and I call it all kinds of things, all messed up, all let your imagination run wild. But I enjoy this, and I've enjoyed all the episodes. You did a great job with Brett Vaughn a couple weeks ago, and mules and different things was cool, but the terrier stuff is cool too. I'm liking that.
That's something else I'm gonna go down and explore. I got to get a little buffer though. You know what I mean? So I can go hunt like a real man and dig up something.
I was in Michigan this last week, and as I was up there and I was walking and hiking and different things around Michigan, and it's not my first time, but it made me think about it because of Nate Valley. He's like, oh yeah, we'll dig groundhogs out of the ground. I'm like, you're digging in sand, dude. Come on down to this area, and I want to see you dig that whole Nate Valley. Come on, bring them terriers and come on down.
Let's see what you got, terrier guys. Come
That's
dig
right.
through the limestone and the shale.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I have no room to talk. I live in Sahara dunes, so you can just get on your hands and knees and dig a hole like a dog and 5 feet deep in like 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on and helping me out, Lauren. Keep exploring and keep going crazy out there. She's always just an adventure. She's always all over the place, and I didn't want to interrupt. I don't even think she has cell phone service anyway. So, Chris, I really appreciate you coming on and helping me out, brother.
Pleasure.
Well, I'll see you all next month. Thanks again for tuning in to All Mixed Up. You follow your hounds, and I'll follow mine. Thanks, everyone.